Yeah.
Oh, look at all of us had that. But I can really weird and I don't have one, but I'm like,
She wants to come. So I can now this new.
well, and I don't bring my glasses, so I can't see the screen either. You have 4 minutes, Bill.
Awesome.
All right.
Got plenty of practice yesterday. So.
It's tough when there's that many public comments.
Yeah.
You did a good job. Yeah, then you cut them instead of the, which we had to do with that.
Yeah, well, it's probably better for them to just say what they gotta say, you know.
Yeah. Oh, you got Jeff? Okay.
Sergeant from Foundation for Senior Care.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this video on then.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had it with.
Operation.
Did you?
I think they did. They did actually.
Thanks, I don't want to do video.
Must be even smaller, we still have more involved meetings.
So what's the reason for getting?
Our CEO. And it was like, oh, gosh. And then I let.
That is for better.
Like if there's an option.
Yeah. There it is. Your mouth. Yeah. Shoot out.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the February 8th, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Directors. We'll go ahead and start with a roll call.
Director Leach.
Here.
Director Mraz.
Present.
Director Brown.
Here.
Director Stanicek.
Here.
Thank you.
And then Director Jeffries is not able to join us this evening.
Let's do the pledge. All right, ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as written? So moved.
I'll second.
And any discussion? Okay, go ahead and do a roll call, please.
Director Leach.
Aye.
Director Maraz.
Aye.
Director Brown.
Aye.
Director Stanisson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Public comments. This time, do we have any, members of the public that, submitted cards?
Oh, I didn't.
She doesn't have to submit a quick card.
Sure.
Diana, you can,
Oh, okay.
make your comment.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm not. Hi, my name is Deanna Bamford. Thank you for having me here tonight. I go by Dee. I actually have a maternal mental health program at the fabulous Fallbrook Regional Wellness Center up in Mission every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. It's postpartum support. I'm a certified peer support specialist, registered 200-hour yoga instructor with my specialty to be in prenatal and postnatal, and I am a survivor of maternal mental health. So I made it my life passion to chat about it and destigmatize mental health in general, but especially maternal mental health. And I'm just here so grateful for the center and everyone in the team. You've really done amazing, giving me the space to come and offer the service. It's completely free for the public. And I just continue to talk about Fallbrook Regional Health District because you guys have so many amazing programs. Every time I'm a teacher at Sage Yoga here in Fallbrook and in Bonsall, and every time we have something regarding diabetes or food or mental health, and I'm like, we have programs, they are free, but the public don't know about it a lot of the time. And so it's just word of mouth. But I would love to see more, out there talking just more about it, making it just to be a no-brainer, that when somebody thinks of something regarding, all these fantastic programs, and it sounds like Fallbrook Regional comes to mind. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. The staff and everyone has been great, and just for the space. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ellen Fusco. I started volunteering at the Fallbrook Food Pantry with Shay last March, so I'm almost 1 year old. And then I started working part-time this past December, just a few hours a week. And but I have gone to so many programs at the Wellness Center. I literally, because I'm only working in a few hours, I literally base my schedule, and I'm not even just saying this because it's you guys, like my calendar. I get your calendar and I fill out my calendar based on your calendar, honestly. And so I've gone to so many programs that I'm so thankful for. I did the mental health wellness. It was like an all day kind of workshop thing. It was great. The teacher was phenomenal. I've gone to I have diabetes, so I've gone to the sugar classes. I have so many different programs. There's such a long list. But through the past year, I've been going to like basically every program I'm available to go to. And the staff, so Teresa, I've worked with a bit, and Bianca and Patty, those are like my main key people that I worked with. But everybody else is lovely. They're just seen other people more, And so, but everybody is really appreciated. The staff is amazing. And just the whole setup. I've also gone to the bereavement classes, which have been great through the hospice. One thing I talked to Bianca about today was that I wanted to mention that it would be great. Ultimately, I know staff, you don't have thousands of staff members, and I get that. Welcome to Katja too, by the way. You're a new person. I met her the other day. And so if at some point to do like once a week, a schedule where you're open, like not necessarily open, but like have like 12 to 8 or 12 to 9 p.m. hours, like one day a week or something like that. So that way you can do once a week, at least some kind of nighttime, even if it's monthly and get there eventually, or on a Saturday to be able to do some family programming and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure when you're getting your multi-million-dollar whole campus done, you could put that into the little budget, the big budget. So, and then today, so the up-to-date second of my information is today, every Wednesday at the Fallbrook Food Pantry, we have nurses come from, nursing students come from Cal State San Marcos, and they do blood pressure screening, and then also they have a bunch of information handouts in both English and Spanish, and they also check your blood sugar. So today, they're not an aggressive group as the nursing students typically are not. So I had to facilitate that process for them to get more people to actually, because people are reticent, they're coming to get their food, they don't know what's going on, you know, they don't want to get poked. Here's my official Band-Aid that they've actually decorated for me because I wanted a fancy Band-Aid. And so, so what I did was I set up a table right in front of where the nurse's station was. I put all of the flyers that I got from Patty the other day for the wellness center, every different thing that you have going on. So that way, promoting all of your stuff. I didn't even put any of our stuff out. And I got it there. But anyway, but this was your table. This was an event I did for you. I also got little chip clips, I guess they're called, like little binder clips or whatever. And they're little notebooks with with pens. So what I did was I said to the nurses, not one person gets any of this stuff until they get poked and prodded. So I made the picture everybody first. And then, so I said, my goal for you is 10 people, because I had 20 notebooks, right? So they were like, 10 people, usually we get like 5. So I was like, okay, how about 7? I was like, just work with me. We're gonna get more. They got 15 people, the most they've ever gotten. So they were, and the nurses were very happy because the students, they were learning, you know, so they were just touching each other, basically, not in a bad way. But so, you know, but they want to, you know, try with actual strangers, you know. And then what's nice about my favorite part about it actually is that they keep a binder of your statistics, I guess, your medical statistics. So then when you come back the next week, they compare and they actually go over your stuff. And I said, oh, last week you were this blood pressure, last week this was your sugar, this was the situation. And it's very helpful for me personally as well. So I just want to thank you guys for being awesome. Keep up the great work. And you're great. So thank you.
Definitely appreciate the feedback.
Anybody on Zoom? No. Nope. And I received nothing else.
Hello?
I think Irene.
Hello?
Hello.
One second here. You can go ahead. You go ahead.
Hi, I'm Irene. I'm the support group leader of the Parkinson's of North County here, and we meet here in Fallbrook. It is a chapter that meets here. We have just very thankful for the space that we have that we're able to use there. And we are just grateful for the concept of the wellness center and being able to meet there with people with Parkinson's. Our group has grown from 20 to 35 people on a very regular basis. And I really believe it's because we moved here from where we used to meet. And it was, thank you, COVID, that we could no longer meet in the place we met because for a year we met online. So we were in search of a new location, and this property, you know, we were told about the property and the fact that we could meet here without any charge to our group, which was great. And so it's afforded us the ability to grow our group, get the message out there. We really appreciate the online marketing that you guys do too of our group on your calendar. With that also, I am a caregiver for my husband for over 15 years in Parkinson's. I also am on the board of our North County Parkinson's group, as well as the San Diego Parkinson's group. I'm a mentor for them. So I've got a lot of experience with that. But one of the things that besides the wellness concept that's been great is we've been able to bring other programs to this, the center, the wellness center. And one of them most recently is the RX ballroom dancing, which was great. The first day that the instructor came, we had over 25 people, which was amazing. You know, so the word's getting out there. Another group that I helped facilitate bring here was the drumming program. And that's been a great, another great program that's out there for the community. And we have some great programs, and now we're able to meet somewhere. And really this whole concept of wellness is fantastic. I'm just really looking forward to what the whole property is going to look like and the whole concept that's going to be rolling out. Hopefully soon. Anyway, thank you so much for the ability to meet. And I have some literature here about our group, so I'll leave it behind for you. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
And I think we have someone on the phone.
Yeah, do we have somebody on the phone? If you want, just go ahead and say your name and go ahead and make your comments, please.
Hi, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'm joining you from my car and not driving. I am parked. So my name is Jeff Egan. I am currently the Vice President of the Board of Directors of the North County Fire Protection District. And so I know, we work closely together with your district, of course, as you know, we share our medical services officer, the amazing Mary Murphy. And of course, we greatly appreciate the funds that are given to our ambulance program. And I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of Ross Pike. Ross is running for the special district seat on LAFCO, and he couldn't be here tonight. There are actually 4 special district meetings going on today. He's trying to attend, I think, 2 or 3 of those down south. He will be here next month to speak. And the ballots go out the end of this month, I believe. You should receive those. And I think they're due in March. So Ross is currently on our North County Fire Protection District Board. He's been on there for 5 months now. He's also on the Fallbrook Planning Group, and just recently been appointed by Jim Desmond to the Mission Resource Conservation District. So Ross is just impressed me with his work on the board. He's always comes prepared. He's diligent, always participates in the discussion. One thing that's particularly impressed me about Ross, and I wanted to mention, is he worked with both Jennifer Jeffries, Letitia Maldonado Stamos, and a couple others in town. They were all instrumental in our map, our Fallbrook being in the District 5, in the map that it is currently in. And the reason is partly, in large part, because Ross sent out emails, probably thousands of emails. Several hundred people responded to the commission on behalf of the map that was eventually chosen, and in preference over a map that they wanted to put us, of course, in a district that would have included Hamul, Alpine, and we, of course, all felt that we had much more in common with Vista and Oceanside than we do with those communities. So all that work, I think have impressed me. And I think Ross would bring that same kind of diligence and hard work to representing not only all the special districts, but particularly North County, and of course, particularly Fallbrook. He's been particularly active in following the separation of FPUD and Rainbow from the San Diego County Water Authority. And he's, in favor of that. So I think that would, obviously, of course, be a strong voice on LAFCO for our community, our interests, and of course, he would, represent all the special districts. So again, I appreciate your district so much, what you do. I really do. I mean that sincerely. And Ross will come and speak at your meeting next month. And I would ask that possible you consider placing that ballot on your agenda, and so you would be able to vote. And I believe the March meeting would be the last opportunity to vote for that LAFCO special district seat. Okay, so thank you very much. I'm happy to take any questions if need be, and I do appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody else on Zoom or on the phone? Seeing no one, I'm going to go ahead and
also, I forgot to mention that I'm starting next month with Michelle's Place, and I wasn't sure how you guys were, like, if that's all part of your situation. But anyway, I'm doing quarterly craft classes for one of their cancer support groups. So I'm starting next month.
Awesome.
Through the pantry, yes. No. Thank you. On behalf of You're welcome.
Good. I'll go ahead and close public comments. The next thing we have is the presentation for Michelle's Place. Welcome. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to send these around. We'll start with you, Mike. It's our general organizational brochure and our last donor newsletter, just to provide some additional information to you. I didn't bring enough for everyone, so I can connect with you guys later. Thank you for inviting me to speak this evening, and let me take this opportunity to thank you for the grant funding that you generously gave to us last year. I'm going to just provide a quick update on the impact that is having in this region, and for some of you, provide some of the background about Michelle's Place and why we are the organization that we are today. So our mission is to empower individuals and families impacted by cancer through education and support services, and you'll see that in the coming slides. Our vision statement is that no one should face cancer alone, and when we mean no one, we do mean no one, so that is caregivers, spouses, children, and those, of course, who are diagnosed themselves. I won't go too far in depth because it would take a good number of minutes of my time, but Michelle Watson is who Michelle's Place is named after. Her parents, Bill and Marilyn Watson, founded Michelle's Place after she ultimately did pass from undiagnosed breast cancer. She was 18 years old, was a vegan, swam on the swim team, was a snowboarder, very, very active, in very, very good health. Found a lump, went to her doctor at the age of 18 and was told, you're too young, you're too healthy, don't worry about it. So fast forward, she was 23 years old, was looking to join the Peace Corps, went through a full physical. At that time, they did say, you need to get this checked out before we can accept you. So she went back, and at that time it was found to be stage 4 breast cancer because it had gone undiagnosed and therefore. After 3 years of treatment, she did pass at the age of 26. During that time of her treatment, she found a resource center in Santa Barbara. And that was the first place that she felt cared for as an individual, where no one was talking about her cancer and her diagnosis, but they were caring for her as a person. So she told her parents that Temecula needed a place like that to serve this area. And so after she passed, her parents, Bill and Marilyn, did found Michelle's Place, completely with volunteers, until they hired their first employee, who is still our executive director 19 years later, Kim Garish. And I know some of you know Michelle's Place a little bit better than others, but it's a very, very, very quick story of why we exist today. So we do have 2 locations. We have our flagship, our 10,000 square foot building in Temecula off of Winchester. We purchased the building 3 years ago, lived in it through construction, and I hope you'll take the opportunity to come visit us there to see what 10,000 square feet dedicated to support and resources does look like. And then, of course, we have our Fallbrook office here on the campus of the Wellness Center. It is in the little house on the property, the old parsonage. I grew up here in Fallbrook. I used to go to school in that building. My friends lived in that house. So I've come full circle now to work for an organization that is placed here in this community and on that property. We have 11 staff members, and we have a practicum student who is new to us as of this last start of the school year. She's from Pepperdine, and she's providing one-on-one counseling to our clients for free, 10 sessions per client. Mental health has been an incredible need that we just keep hearing over and over from our clients that they need more resources for. If you know someone who has tried to access mental health resources in the last couple of years, you know how impacted they are and how difficult it is to access those resources. So we are very grateful for her. She also sees clients over Zoom, so if you don't have to go to Temecula to meet her in person. For Fallbrook, we have a part-time patient navigator in the newsletter that I did pass out. You'll see her little bio. Her name is Maria, and she is in Fallbrook on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and sees clients there. She also helps over the phone and over Zoom too if they can't physically get to the office. Since the start of the grant cycle last year, we've had 82 new clients come through the Fallbrook office and established with Michelle's Place. And 166 services were provided, and I'll go over the services in just a few minutes. We have 132 volunteers that help us run the services and programs that we provide. All of our facilitators that lead our support groups are volunteers. So when we talk about being a resource center, what does that mean? We don't provide any medical care or medical services ourselves. We're providing the wraparound services for the individual. doctors aren't necessarily always the most comforting or caring or know what resources are out there, and that's why we are where we are. So we do get a lot of referrals, client referrals from physicians because of the reputation that we do have and the years that we have as an organization. So a lot of our clients will walk in from being diagnosed or just from treatment, and they go to Michelle's place and they don't even really understand what that means until they arrive in our building. But we provide many comfort items, wigs and prosthetics, but also chemotherapy kits, mastectomy kits, blankets, shawls, caps, whatever we can provide you to provide. We have a good number of support groups. The men's support group on that list is not called a men's support group. It's called husband hangout because men don't like to go to support group typically as well. So they come gather together for pizza and beer. So each support group is tailored to the audience that we are hoping to reach and to serve. We also have wellness classes. So support groups are one thing, and that meets a specific need, but we want our clients to be as well as they possibly can be as they are going through treatment and then come out of treatment and move forward in their lives. So we have yoga and Reiki, we have healing touch, we have cooking classes, we have card making and journaling, we have art therapy. If someone brings a request to us, we do our best to facilitate that class or that support group for them. We can't do everything, so we partner with other collaborative organizations. I know we're talking to the food pantry and they're doing a class with us next week on Tuesday. They're leading the group on Tuesday. So however we can best partner, because we can't be all to everyone, but we can partner with those who can support. Our Purple Ribbon Assistance Program is a temporary financial assistance program for clients that qualify. So they meet with our patient navigators, who are the direct client facing staff on our team. And they sit with them and they really identify what their needs are. Is it transportation? Is it rent assistance? And part of that is the Purple Ribbon Assistance Program. So they join this program and they receive a number of things: gas cards, grocery gift cards. But then we also wrap around their entire family. And so if they have children, then they will receive school supplies and backpacks at the beginning of the school year. They will receive new clothes and shoes. They will receive a Thanksgiving meal at Thanksgiving and Christmas gifts that generous donors purchase specifically for each child. So again, we try and support the whole family through their months of treatment. So like I mentioned, we can't do everything, but we have a community health worker. Her name is Priscilla. She joined the team last year as well. She will search out a resource for any need that is presented by our clients. So she, just at the end of the year, worked with an organization called Jenna's Rainbow to cover first month's rent and a deposit for a family that was going to be homeless with 5 children. So one of those children is our client who has metastatic brain cancer. So whatever she can do, whatever we can do, we will do. Our fundraising events, so our entire budget is fundraised, whether that be through grant funding, individual donors, or fundraising events. These are our 3 events that we have each year that we will have this year. Our first one is Spring Fling coming up on May 7th, and then we have a golf tournament and a Walk of Hope as well. The Walk of Hope is really meant it's a family-friendly event where you can bring your friends and walk together. Versus the other 2 events, which aren't quite as friendly. But the walk is really a show of support for the survivors and thrivers of those who have gone before us. I mentioned volunteers. We do have 132 volunteers. They do everything, anything that they can for us. And we're always looking for new volunteers. And thank you for now joining us. Okay, before I jump to questions, I do just want to make sure that I touch on a few things. As a Fallbrook resident myself who grew up here, I am so proud to work for an organization that serves this area, and it's preaching to the choir to tell you that this region, being so rural, lacks many resources, health resources being one of them. So to be able to be in this space in the wellness center that can so easily collaborate with all of these other organizations and you is like a dream come true. And I cannot wait to see how the property evolves over the next couple of years and to see the community embrace that, because, you know, we kind of see things happening. They'll get a really good picture of it when it is complete. And just to see the number of resources that are in one place. Transportation is an issue for many people that live here. Our organization being in Fallbrook means somebody doesn't have to drive to Temecula, deal with the Temecula traffic. It's difficult already to access health resources when you're feeling well. It's an entirely different thing to access health resources when you're not well. So for us to be here is amazing. For your information, we are planning, continuing to plan our marketing of our services and who we are, partnering with some of the news outlets here in town, but also inviting others into our space. I invite all of you to come to our groups, even if you don't have an immediate need right now yourself or for someone in your life, but just to learn what Michelle's Place is, so that if someone does cross your path, you can direct them to us. And there's an upcoming event in April. We're partnering with the Fallbrook Art Association to do a co-fundraiser. The theme of the art show will be Hope Healing, and their artists will be creating artwork around that theme. They're meeting with us at Michelle's Place to get to know us and our clients as well. But you'll all receive an invitation to join for that event as we support each other in fundraising, but also in awareness and just, again, being present for our community. Any questions?
Terry?
I had a chance to tour our property in depth the other day and got to go over to your little area in your residence there. Aside from us writing a check to Michelle's Place, which I'm more than happy to support, what else should we be doing for you in that space?
So our team has been working with Teresa. We talked about signage. And I know that will change as construction continues, but signage for us is important. I mean, driving through there, it happens so fast. To know that we're there with a feather flag or a monument sign or something would be fantastic. I know that that's already being worked on, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Word of mouth, honestly, we each have a circle of influence, whether that be professional or personal, but the more that you can share that we are there, and no one will ever pay for anything at Michelle's Place. There is no fee for service. So even if they don't know what they want or need, if they walk through the door, then at least someone can get their arms around that person. And it doesn't have to be the person who's been diagnosed. If it's a spouse, a family member, a friend, tell them to come in because they need support as well.
Thank you. One second here. Mike, do you have something?
Yeah, so somebody gets diagnosed in some location in the county. How well interconnected are you with those organizations as a referral opportunity?
Good question. We have great relationships with UCSD, Scripps, Kaiser, Loma Linda, and many of the individual physicians and medical groups in our area. It can always be better. We always try and outreach. Our volunteers help us do outreach to those groups as well. Turnover, is probably the largest factor in that. We get to know somebody or they get to know us as a resource, and then if they leave, the information doesn't always get passed along. So it's a constant thing for us to make those relationships.
So if you had X dollars, what would be the next marketing thing you'd want to do to expand the reach and awareness?
What would I want to do?
Or what would be most effective based on how people are getting to see you? I hear a lot of word of mouth and partnerships with other organizations. What's the next kind of the next thing that would be very helpful?
Honestly, we had in digital ads and that were targeted and not necessarily just in this area. But some really modern targeting, retargeting, you know, I mean, you can drive down the street. I can pick a geographic area and you drive through there and you'll get one of my ads. So something like that would be amazing. Right now in this area,
I know.
a few dollars will go far.
I know you're-
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Barbara?
I just want to say thank you because my late daughter-in-law was diagnosed with breast cancer, a very horrible shock to the whole family, and your assistance in helping her through that difficult time was just immeasurable. You provided so many things for her, and especially she had long blonde hair and she was going to lose it and she knew it, so she had it cut off and had the wig thing, but you were always there for her, and she beat it. Thank God she beat it, but COVID got her. So it was one of those bittersweet things, but I'm not going to cry. I've already cried, but it's a wonderful service because you not only deal with the patient, but you deal with the family and the spouses. The husbands just go crazy, and they need the help, and it's just a wonderful thing. So thank you.
Yeah.
I hadn't planned on saying anything, but I kind of feel like I need to. I am a cancer survivor, just barely a year, and Michelle's place, after I called my dear friend Rachel and was freaking out when I had just found out, I said, can you connect me with Kim? Absolutely, absolutely. So the next phone call I made was to Kim Garish, who's the executive director. And I'll never forget just sitting on my driveway, talking with the executive director, freaking out, bawling, crying, spiraling out of control. And the compassion that every single person has at Michelle's place is something that I've never experienced anywhere else in my life. And I personally feel like that day, in my darkest days, my darkest nights, that those phone calls that I would randomly have with them, or showing up and getting a hug from Laura, who was one of my navigators, patient navigators, I do believe that because of their true passion for what they believe in, their compassion for every person that walks through the door, that they help save my life. So I'm very, very, very grateful for them on a personal level, and I'm super excited being in Fallbrook and them being in Fallbrook now, that we get a partner and do some really great things. So I'm actually, the class I'm participating in next week, or in 2 weeks, week and a half, whatever, I'm coming in as a patient, talking about my journey and how I took care of myself, but I am obviously doing it through the pantry, but it's my passion is nutrition and being able to educate. So I'm really excited about how things have just got connected, and thank you, Rachel.
So, yeah.
Are you a resource on 211? Do you know?
We are,
Okay, great.
and I know that because we've had so many people contact our community health worker for assistance with their gas bills in the last couple of weeks. Through 211 and through the county.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And also, we were talking, actually, Shay and I just the other day about, for promoting our diabetes classes and our nutrition classes to actually just kind of spread out the wealth of all of our flyers at all the medical centers, all the doctor's offices. Now, do you guys, like, I've seen your fly, you know, your little brochures in multiple places, but do you actually blanket the whole, I mean, obviously the whole county might be a little pricey, But if you guys want to spend a little money on her brochures, I'm just saying. You get 40 million of them, you get a better discount, just saying. And then you can kind of just blanket the world.
Yeah, Maria has spent a couple of days going around to medical groups here in town, urgent cares, just assisted living, senior living, churches, as many places as she can go. And she'll continue. To do that.
Awesome. Well, Amber, thanks a lot for coming out. We appreciate the presentations. I would just, yesterday at our meeting, we kind of were talking about facility needs and working on an assessment there in our facilities committee. So I would just say maybe get with Jennifer or get with them or staff if there's any urgent needs over there, anything that we can do to kind of facilitate making that structure better for you guys or more usable, or, you know, anything we can do. So thank you.
Great facility. Great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Now, the next part of our agenda is so much more fun.
Well, I just real quick, I just wanted to thank the audience. It's great to have everybody out and hear the participation and see the collaboration that we're getting over there. So thank you very much. Next items are the consent items. Can I have a motion to approve the consent items?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, go ahead and go to.
Director Leach,
Aye.
Director Morad,
Aye.
Director Brown,
Aye.
Director Stanicek.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, go into reports, finance committee.
You bet. I'd like to lead off and give Rachel an opportunity to address one issue on the last report.
Right, so at our February finance report, we went through the reports and there was a wonky number that all of us were a little bit concerned on. We did get through the committee, then we came back to the office staff, we worked together to look at some of the different statements. Then we worked with our finance team and we found the wonky number. So what we've done is we figured out the failure in the process. We've corrected that, but the finances that Terry's gonna report tonight, if you had looked at our February finance report, you would notice that it is got some different reports in this. So the report he's giving tonight will differ from what you saw at the finance meeting. These are the corrected financials. So in case anyone brings that up, we wanted to make sure that you knew that we had seen that difference. I've already spoken with Terry about that. We've gone through it. Susan and Marty, as our finance team, we figured out the timing of this report that comes through that gives us this one crucial number. So wanted to let you all know that we found that error after the meeting. So if you have noticed that difference, that's why you're gonna see that different report here. Okay. Thanks, Terry.
So what I will be talking about will be the wonky financials.
It will be the non-wonky financials.
Okay, the non-wonky financials. Fair enough. So I will address report number 1, which is our balance sheet comparison. And we are in a better position for December than November, with total liabilities and equity of $11,921,643, which is an increase of $245,785 compared to November. That in large part is due to our larger apportionment than budgeted. Report 2. The income statement. The total net income for the month of December is a positive $274,230. And this also is due to the larger than budgeted apportionment amount. Report number 3. Profit and loss statement. The actual versus budget. Based upon the approved budget, the district is as under budget in year-to-date net income by $80,821. Report number 4. There's been no change in the approved annual budget for the 2023 fiscal period. Report number 5. The LAIF account statement, the LAIF posted, no dollars in this particular quarter, which would be 12/31 period. But we will be posting it, in the January, results, because that's when we'll actually get it. The cost value is $1,700,707, with the fair market value of $1,667,359. The performance rate for the month of December was 2.173%. Report number 6. The Cal Trust account statement, the cost basis, average cost amount for this account is $5,759,054. The district earned $11,142 in dividend income this month, and an unrealized gain of $5,730, bringing the portfolio total to a value of $5,575,758. As of December 2022, the 1-year yield from the medium-term fund where these funds are allocated was 1.34%. Report number 7. Property tax revenues, the district accrued a tax apportionment amount of $372,825 for December. Report number 8. The check detail report. We reviewed the report during the meeting and did not find anything unnecessarily outstanding or unusual to report. Are there any questions on that particular report? The visa statement, this report, lists all of the charges made using the district credit card for the month of December. We reviewed that also, and there was nothing extraordinary to report. Next report, mine is cut off and it says report number 10. Makes sense if I follows 9, right? The community investment report. This report shows utilized funds invested in the community health and wellness, specifically for the development of the property, including maintenance, repairs, permits, and consultants. For the second quarter to date, there was $30,436 spent. The total amount recommended to reimburse the health district is $30,000. Any questions at this point? As a disclosure, the investments of the district are in compliance with the district's 2023 investment policy. The balances in the district's investment accounts give the district the ability to meet its expenditure requirements for the next 18 months. I'd like to add to that with regard to our CPA work, the report that was required to the state of California Treasurer's Office was completed and submitted on January 31st, which was right under the wire. I would expect our annual audit report from our CPA to be available and completed within the next 30 days by the next report time, although we have no real control over that. If it is not, I think we need to have a further discussion about if there's any action we need to take or pressure we need to bring. We need that. We need our audited financial statements.
Yeah.
And that's my report.
And Terry, did you want to make that formal recommendation to do that transfer from the community investment fund of the 30,000?
Yes, you'll put that in form of a motion. We'll let me make that recommendation, motion. I'd like to have a motion that we can approve the $30,000 to be transferred over and reimbursed to the health district.
Second.
Any discussion on that? No? Good.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Director Leach.
Aye.
Director Moran.
Aye.
Director Brown.
Aye.
Director Stennett. Thank you.
Okay, next we have facilities. Barbara?
I don't have a clue.
Well, after last night's meeting, we did almost all.
I want you to know, I tried very diligently to communicate last night, but we had some technical difficulty with the computer. So while you saw me off and on, I was unable to convey any kind of verbal information. And I know that with regard to the last facilities committee that we had Director Jeffries and I and Rachel were discussing the Taylor design presentation and how we were going to bring that to the board's attention to have further discussion before we move forward in any phase and to do whatever measures are necessary to take the next step. So it was recommended that we bring that to the facilities committee, and I believe at last night's meeting, we received input from the community, and I don't know that the board took any action on it last night or made a recommendation other than it seemed that we were tapping the brakes.
Yeah, so last night, I'm not sure if you caught all that, but the basic recommendation was to send it back to facilities and for the facilities committee to kind of look at current needs, whether it's stuff in the educational building or the parking lot, and kind of look at starting to do some functional things over there that we can kind of get done now,
Okay.
rather than kind of looking at the entire scope of the Taylor design proposal.
Okay, so we'll start at ground zero again at the next facilities meeting.
Yeah, so we'll bring forward a list of different needs that are being compiled for the facility. And then we'll bring that to the next meeting for discussion and prioritization.
Okay. And that basically concludes my facilities committee report. Director Jeffries is not here to add to it at this point in time, but I believe she was here last night.
Yeah, she
Make
was
her
here.
comments.
Yeah.
Recommendations
So,
and comments.
I think that's basically what she wanted to do as well, is kind of, get back to facilities, kind of look and see like what
Bigger
sort of things
picture.
we can do now and what sort of needs that we have to help our grant recipients and partners over there. So
Right, I did hear some recommendations about the parking lot, move forward with that.
I think that'll be probably one of the things you guys will discuss, but I think that all of us are probably in favor of looking at getting bids.
Yes,
So if you guys wanna look that up at the next facilities meeting and kind of, get that on your agenda and move forward with that, I think that's definitely something that needs to get addressed sooner rather than later,
okay,
for sure.
thank you.
Okay, so next, we have a strategic planning committee. Director Mraz and I met with staff last month at the meeting. There wasn't a whole lot for us to discuss because it was ahead of the strategic planning workshop. We kind of pushed a lot of that off to there. But we received, we had a presentation on the PACE program. I imagine Rachel will probably go into some of that in her presentation, so I won't go into too many details, but we got a presentation on that. We had a quick discussion on potentially looking at the mission statement and bringing that back to the board, seeing if we need to kind of revamp that mission statement and if it still matches up with what we're looking to do. And like I said, that was about it. We had that strategic planning workshop, which kind of took the place of most of the agenda items. Director Moss, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think we're just continuing to untie the knots and move forward, and it's one step at a time. And I know we're being very conscientious about how we approach this and being very, concerned about the financial aspect of it as well.
Absolutely. Okay, government and public engagement, Director Stanisek.
Yeah, so we met a couple weeks ago. A couple key decisions from that is really to kind of bring the focus back from national to local. I tend to agree with that. I think there's a lot of opportunities and challenges that face us in terms of getting more public engagement. I was just struck tonight versus last night's meeting of the dichotomy of the communication challenges that exist. Where last night we had some really good input and feedback on some items that were probably misinterpreted. And then tonight we had some wonderful case studies of really good things that are going on. So how do we blow that out into the public more effectively through all the tools that we have and expanding those tools? And secondly, the communication that's going out, making sure that it's crystal clear And there's no opportunity for miscommunication because that just kind of slows things down, creates negative bias in the community as people talk to people who talk to people. So I think we have to figure out a way to really systematize the way we communicate these things across all the organizations and partner in that way to make sure that we're all communicating in a very similar way and communicating the benefits in a similar way. I'm in active listening mode, trying to figure this all out in terms of what objectives and strategies that we need to develop. But I'm excited about just the way those last two meetings went in terms of the opportunity that's right there it was. And I think that's how we've got to go after it. So the next meeting, I'll be framing the agenda to talk through the process of how we might get there. And I'm also wrestling with frequency of the meeting in terms of, making sure that we're meeting at the right level. It's currently monthly, but we'll have to see if that continues to be necessary. But I think right now it's a good place to be because there's a lot of work they've done. So I'm excited about what holds, and just thanks again for all the positive feedback. It's nice to hear that as well. So it's great stuff.
Teresa?
Yeah, okay. So this is my report that was given to the public engagement, government and public engagement committee. So the data in it is from December, and so we're gonna soon we'll have some new stuff going on with new numbers, but we had a strong start to January with 72 events on the schedule at the center. But let me tell you, February has outdone that, and I can already let you know, we have between public facing events and open to and closed to the public events, 90 different things happening this month. So we are getting very busy. So one of the things new that's come to the Community Health and Wellness Center is the planning group is going to be holding their meetings there. So that'll be kind of nice. They'll be aware of what's happening. And as we think about construction and different things, I think that's some good synergy there. We did have our RX ballroom start, and they're twice a week venue. People were so excited about it. If you've been on our social media, you'll see there's some different videos and pictures. It was really wonderful. Today we had our first Qigong class, and so I think we've had 8 people come for that. So that's kind of nice. It's chair yoga's gotten filled. It's another avenue for similar type of business activity. So the Wellness Wednesday event for the month of January was really great. There was a lot of energy. The workshop was very well attended. And we had Bianca manning our lifestyle change program. So it went really nicely where people were screened for blood pressure and blood sugar. Then they met with the nurses and got information. And then if they looked like they would qualify for the program, they went and met with Bianca. And just in that 1-2-hour period, we have 4 people that are interested in signing up for our diabetes prevention program. So, and one of the nice things is, since the food pantry is here, we have a nice partnership going where we're going to try and run our programs so that there's always something new for the public in terms of timing, as well as their program focuses on if you have diabetes as well as pre-diabetes. Our program's just pre-diabetes, but we have a partner to refer people to should they not meet our criteria. So that was a great event. So that's a little bit of what's happening there. So the total for visits to the Wellness Center in the month of December was 577. So continuing to increase, even what I would have expected to see a dip in activities. And some of that was due to some Christmas, there was a few Christmas events there as well. So we continue to work on different programs with Mary Murphy from North County Fire. So she was able to provide some CPR training. She continues to pass out COVID tests. And we are working with the school district to provide a class on naloxone. So again, with the fentanyl. So to help with, all of, the drug awareness as well as CPR classes. And the goal is, what we've been working towards is to have CPR in the high school curriculum. It just takes a little bit. Everyone said yes, but getting all the final pieces together, hasn't happened yet. We continue to get, the word out, out on the streets, walking around and getting flyers out to places. You can see a list of, some of the places, the flyers are distributed as well as, digitally to a lot of our grantees, the school districts, and partners in the community. So we had a couple of articles in the paper in December. They of course focused on regards to the election and the spot, the open seats. So our email marketing continues to go strong with above average industry average for open and click rates. So that is good. We did for the first time see, more people, a few people unsubscribe. Not a lot to be worried about, but we still continue to engage those that are interested, and we continue to add a lot of new contacts. I know this month we're up to over 150 new contacts for this between January and now. So our social media, we continue to put effort into that. And one of the things we're really working on is getting pictures of events that are happening, which sounds simple, but when you have 90 events happening, it's a little complicated to get the pictures. But we continue to focus on that and have some more ideas to see that happen. Our Instagram continues to have a steady, growth in its following. So on our website views continue to be strong. And I know someone had asked about the Google Analytics, and we have tracking code on the website, and I'm trying to recover the account, and that's still in the works. So hopefully we'll be able to recover all that historical data. If not, we'll put a new code on and just move forward with that. And the last thing is a couple of pictures of some of the top performing posts that we had during the month of December. Any questions?
I'd just like to say that you do a great job of reporting these stats out, and I think the fact that we're tracking all this stuff and seeing the trends is really critical. So I
Absolutely.
applaud you for that. That's a lot of work, I know that. And there's a lot of challenges, especially with the number of events you have. So it's great stuff. So it gives us a direction.
Thank you.
Yes, I wanted to put out for consideration, and Rachel can decide whose area of responsibility this may fall into, but with regard to the questions that I heard last night about, well, what about the hospital and the licensure and what happened? I'm wondering if it would not be something to consider to put a history of the hospital and what happened to bring us to where we are now. In the form, maybe the attorney could do it, but someone who could, put it in a concise form to show that we had the 30-year prepaid lease and we did have a license for the hospital, but we did not have operating authority, et cetera, and then because of the changes and the lack of the managed care complement, because of the payment methodology, the doctors groups were capitated with our competitor, Palomar, et cetera, and kind of bring it down to the understanding that the community can see that it was out of our hands, and it might address the urgent care concerns as well, because many of the health plans, if you do have the coverage to go to an urgent care, but if you have a certain health plan, they may not have an urgent care in your neck of the woods. You have to go over to Temecula, or you have to go over to Murrieta or Escondido or whatever, and it might help alleviate some of these questions and help people kind of get a bigger grasp of what the challenges we faced as a hospital at that time with managed care, and the fact that we're 12 miles from Riverside County. And we couldn't get another hospital in this community. I don't care how much money we couldn't float the bond.
I can try and
You know
put
what I'm
together
saying?
a collateral piece
Yeah,
for
because
that.
I think if there was a site on the website, or if we had some kind of information.
Well, we have an overview it
Uh-huh.
on the website. It doesn't go into the depth you just
Yeah.
described. We also had a very simple historical on the last annual report, but the specifics that you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
mentioned
just the
are
na-
not,
Yeah, just
just
a short narrative, like what happened to the hospital and why we're here now, and this is what happened in between, because believe me, I, like I said, I've been on the board for 13 years now, and I watched people work so hard to save that hospital. And it was just, it could not be done. It could not be done, and we did not want to close it. And the RFPs went out for assistance, and we had Kaiser, and we had Scripps, and we had others, but they only wanted to have a management agreement. They didn't want to have an operating hospital. And of course, our logistics in North County is also an issue as well. And we've always been a little isolated area of particular concern and confusion to the healthcare industry, because we're so close to Riverside. But we did the best that we could, and we're gonna continue to do what we can.
Oh, Jeff, did you wanna have Jeff?
Yeah, if you have something to add to this, that'd be
He's
great.
muted.
You're muted, Jeff. Jeff, you're muted.
Can't hear you, Jeff.
All right, okay, now I'm not. Okay, thank you.
Gotcha, go ahead.
I know the
So,
feeling.
in response to Director Brown's question last night, I did have an opportunity today to discuss the license slash provider number with my former associate and friend Blaze Jackson, who served as the counsel for the district and handled the legal matters during that transition period. And to give you kind of the Reader Digest version, and Barbara's pointed out a couple of important points, but you almost have to go back to 1997 when the lease was initially entered into with what at the time was CHS, which became FHC locally. And the hospital had, rural hospitals, as I think certainly Director Brown understands, and I know that Director Moraz understands that rural hospitals, they really do have a difficult time in a very competitive environment to survive and to struggle. And we had reached a point in 1997 where the hospital was having trouble paying its payroll. It was basically on the rocks. And the board at the time, the intent and purpose was to keep a viable community hospital in Fallbrook and do the best they could. So they went out, and it was a different period in time, and they were able to enter into this 30-year lease with the CHS folks. And the problem was that after after 20 years, once FHC served notice that after the 20 years that they were terminating the lease and operations of the hospital, the board was obviously put in a situation. We don't have a hospital staff or operator, and the hospital did its due diligence, and it sought, as Barbara pointed out, it sought proposals and everything. And basically, we only received one proposal, and the problem was that the terms that were being required by that that company were such that the capital commitment from the district, we didn't have the ability to provide that. And so from a financial standpoint, it just didn't make any sense. And so the hospital was just faced with, we didn't have a staff, we didn't have the ability to continue to operate the hospital. We just didn't financially have it any longer. And so that at that point, they went through they did what they could, but the day came and there were public hearings, and then the proposer showed up, and it was even a worse deal than it was before. And it was just I'm probably bringing back horror movies for Barbara, but it was really hard, but the board did everything they could. And the problem is, you know, if you don't have the ability to operate a hospital, then the license, and in our case, the provider numbers, they lapsed and they expired. We just weren't in the financial ability. And we can, I think, you know, if you'd like, because we all forget, you know, even though we live through it, we forget things, and we have to, it wouldn't hurt probably to have, you know, Rachel kind of come up with a little scenario on, like you said, Barbara, how we got here, so to speak, to just remind people of what occurred and, you know, why we're at where we're at. So anyway, I was going to talk about that a little later, but thank you, Barbara, for bringing it up earlier.
Thank you.
Jeff. Yeah, sure.
Oh, Teresa, so I've been a librarian, I think I've told you this for like 30 years now. Time flies, you know, and so one thing that's worked for me in terms of like photographing for, you know, if you don't have a lot of staff, so photographing for different programs is you kind of task the person who's running the program. The first thing they do, so as soon as everybody sits down, like have it be part of their protocol.
Yeah.
You know, take the picture, and then old school camera. And also what I recommend, which I learned early on in the library world, is do have a disclaimer sign that says, if you attend this program, you might be photographed, it might be on social media, blah, you know, whatever phraseology you want to put. So, I mean, there's actually a legal phraseology you should I can get for you, because that's the key, because we would have people come afterwards, you photograph, and rightfully so, you photographed my child, I didn't give you permission. I mean, I get it in this day and age. So just, you know, so if you need me to get that for you, I can send it to you.
Yeah.
So,
Risk
yeah.
management, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
We can talk more. We were just talking about both those ideas, so we'll talk later. Thanks.
Okay.
I just had a quick question. You mentioned the planning group doing their meetings. I was just wondering where they're doing that in there.
Well, because they're on such a regular basis and there are 2 meetings a day, we didn't want to bop them around from room to room. So they're going to be in what was community room 1, which was the sanctuary.
Okay.
So 'cause that room gets underutilized, so it's an easy one to put them.
Are they
in
doing
on.
their regular meeting there too, or just their committees?
No,
or-
committee meetings.
Committees, okay,
Mhm.
awesome. Yeah, no, I was just wondering with the parking lot and the lights, and I know that they have a lot of elderly members, you know.
Yeah,
so-
well, the good thing that has the best, you know, parking down the side.
Yeah.
To come into the building, the easiest access in terms of that. And, right now our lighting, everything's lit up and working on the campus,
Awesome.
you know, once it hits, you know, dusk.
Yeah,
Okay.
Judith and Teresa have been working the lights out there to make sure the timing is working and the light bulbs are working and the light enclosures were actually cleaned for the first time in, I don't know, 40 years. There's a lot of
Extra
dead,
right now, huh?
dead bugs
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore.
Insect particulates is the.
Yeah,
term
that's
you're
what, that's what
looking
they were, insect particulates,
Particulates.
AKA dead bug.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Okay, we'll go ahead, move on to Rachel's report.
So, I do not have a written report because frankly, you've heard enough from me. I've touched, pretty much all of the committees. The only thing that is, of note is that the grant window is open to all of our grantees, which are already familiar with that. They had their training in January. The window is open. Wishing them all the best of luck and reminding them that anyone has any technical challenges, questions to reach out to me, but otherwise I've touched everything else.
And just thanks for, you know, again, another great meeting, a lot of people out, another good session of input from a lot of our providers, so we appreciate that for sure. Jeff, do you have anything else for us here?
Unmute.
Unmute.
You're still muted, Jeff.
It's like you last night.
There we go. And now I stopped my video. Okay, now I'm good. You know, well,
Yeah.
despite all of this, the problems we've had the last couple of nights, the Zoom is here to stay, and I think it's a good technology. So on that point, if you've got the overhead on my letter I sent today, so that I just wanted to just touch on the Rubio bill. We talked about this a little bit in the orientation, but I just wanted to remind everybody that, hey, the end of the month, Fortunately, the state of emergency is over. So it's onward, and consequently, effective March 1st. So our next meeting, we won't need to have this continuing resolution that we've had before. We'll be able to eliminate that. But beginning March 1st, this Rubio bill is going to kick in. And it basically governs the use of remote meetings now. And in particular, as it relates to you as board members, you're going to have some flexibility to conduct remote meetings like we are under the requirements of AB 2449. And or we can go back to what it was, where it was just simply in-person meetings and no Zoom meetings. But I think Zoom's here to stay. We do get input, and I think it's valuable, but that's up to you to decide. But under the provisions of AB 2449, you're not obligated. In the old days, we had to post an agenda at the teleconference locations. You don't have to identify the teleconference location on the agenda, which is what we had to do. And you're not obligated to make each teleconference location open to the public, which I got to tell you was kind of odd when you're at a hotel in Palm Springs and you've got to post a sign on your door that says the public's welcome to your room. So, but it is important to understand that AB 2449 does require that a quorum of the board, which we've been doing, must participate in person from a single location open to the public, basically where we're conducting our meetings. And but as it and then it gets into this discussion as to if you're going to have a Zoom meeting, it's a two-way platform and all this stuff. But Rachel's got all that covered, so I don't need to bore you with that. But I will just remind you that board members will be able to, on occasions, utilize the remote meeting provisions, and basically under the just cause scenario, where you try to notify the board, or Rachel in this case, at the earliest opportunity, that you won't be able to make the meeting in person, and that you may have the reasons being you may have some child care or caregiving needs, or you're sick, or it's something related to a physical or mental disability. And there is an exception to use the just cause situation if you're on travel business of the district. So for example, you were on the ACHD board and it happened to coincide with the board meeting, then arguably you would then be able to call in remotely. But I think the important thing with respect to the just cause example is that remote participation for just cause can only be utilized only twice a year. So it's not something they get to do very often. And then the other issue is, which allows a little more flexibility, is the emergency circumstances. And that, again, you want to notify us that you're not going to be able to participate in person. And so, you don't have to tell them if it's a, illness or something like that. We don't need to know the specifics because of HIPAA, but, basically it does allow for a physical or family medical emergency if that prevents you from attending the meeting. And under the emergency circumstances, which is slightly different than the just cause, you are allowed to utilize it 20% of the regular meetings during the year, but you can't do it more than 3 consecutive meetings. So I don't think it's going to be an issue, but I did think tonight it would be important just to give you a friendly reminder that we're back to the old ways in large part. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. Appreciate that information. All right. Do we have a public comment here?
You have one gentleman who came tonight, so.
Okay, hold on. Do we have any discussion items that aren't on the agenda? No, we'll go ahead and skip over that. Sir, if you'd like to make your comments, that would be a great time.
Should I give you the blue slip for the record?
Yeah, I can do that.
I have some resumes here that wanted to hand out to the board and everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So
there.
Definitely.
Treasurer Leach.
Yeah.
Hi, Barbara. So I'm Barry Willis, and I'm with San Diego LAFCO, and hard to believe it's been 4 years since I've been elected. When I ran the first time, I went to several districts, 55 to 63, to get to the number that I was able to beat the incumbent. And so this time around, it's different. In a lot of ways, it's still the same way. It's similar in so many ways. I think this is about my 15th board meeting, so I am planning on going in all the special districts again. The issue that I always have is to meet the people that I'm asking support for from them, is to meet them face to face. That's really the emphasis I always put on. So I have 4 years experience with LAFCO right now. I spent a lot of my time getting to know the Cortes, Knox, Hertzberg Act of 2000, which dictates what LAFCO is all about. And I always want us to improve as an organization. I always want to improve as a board member. So to that extent, I always not afraid of negative information, not only positive, but negative information, so we can always improve. You mentioned active listening. I strongly believe in that you actively listen to what's important to the board members, to those that you represent, to be engaged and really show that you care about what they're saying, what their views are. So I practice that a lot. Dale Carnegie is one of my favorites on that, how to win friends and influence people. In terms of my background, I grew up in Olive Gardens. I have about 3 minutes, right? Sure.
Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm not gonna go long with it here. I grew up in Olive Gardens, went to Patrick Henry High School, very involved in the community. Graduated from UC San Diego. Both of my daughters graduated from San Diego State. My resume, you have, it goes into more detail, of course. And my cell phone number's on there, and I'm starting to do this now. I would like to encourage you, because there are times that I'd really like to reach out to board members to get their opinions on. Not only do I want to hear from you, and there's a certain subject that comes up regarding LAFCO or anything related to LAFCO, but sometimes I might like to reach out to you, because I do that a lot. Call board members. I talk to Jack Beebe a lot. I talk to Gary Ront, and I mean, all these GMs and board members, I reach out to, because I want to hear what's important to them. And so that's how I feel about my position. There's nothing more important than what you have to say. And so to that extent, my goal is to exceed your expectations, that when you call me, if I don't pick up right away, I get back to you in 1 to 2 hours. So I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to time this today. I'm asking for your support. The ballots go out at the end of February. So I'm asking for your support.
Questions?
Ms. Morose.
Yes, I'd like to know if you've heard any chatter, if you will, about BlackRock with regard to LAFCO and the financials.
Oh, I was checking. I have not.
Okay.
I thought you were going to ask me about Palomar and Tri-City.
No.
Because they're duking it out.
I'm already in that road.
That's a totally.
Yes, yes.
I'm gonna get back to you on that. I'm not sure. Thanks for bringing it up. And then that's the other thing.
We had a representative come out from LAFCO to talk to us about
From Lake, Barbara.
From Lake.
From Lake,
From Lake,
yeah.
okay, from Lake. But anyway, I was just wondering if you had heard anything out there, because it's all about the
So you're talking
financials.
about BlackRock, the investment company, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you. By the way, near the end of the meetings, I'd like to talk to somebody individually. It'd be great to. I'm glad I got here just in time. Maybe talk to somebody, because I really like to get to know the board members as much fun, and Rachel, you also, and the other staff. So I'm sorry I don't have a good answer for you right now.
Okay.
I'll check into it.
Any other questions?
Thank you for the time.
No, I would just ask, do you have any opinions or information on the potential FPUD pulling out of the water authority? or anything on that?
You know, I asked a lot of board members about that because I'm still formulating my opinion and our board is gonna come up with a legal stance as to legality of it. But then there's the issue of how it hurts the other districts, so I've been getting an earful about that.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of, what's your first name is?
Bill.
Bill, nice to meet you. I get a lot of varied opinions on that, but I'm constantly reaching out to find out what their opinions are. Their concerns about how their costs could go up. If they do detach. And it's an ongoing discussion. So in terms of my own personal stance on detachment, I don't know that I really have a firm stance at this point until, because our board's gonna be coming out with so they're gonna come out with an opinion in the not too distant future, and then I wanna see how that develops. Now, I've heard exit fees anywhere from 5 years to 10 years, you know, to make up for any possible costs. I hope I'm answering your question.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's just a very intense subject. I mean, it's one of the biggest subjects we're dealing with, is that potential detachment.
Yeah.
So I hope I'm addressing it to your satisfaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I really do believe I'm constantly reaching out, Gary to Ron. I asked Gary, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah.
Gary's Amy Ray up in.
Gary's actually my old boss.
Is he?
So, yeah, so. Yes.
So I was just at their board meeting recently, and so I'm even working, making a point to, when I get out to Julian, I let them know what's going on with this, because they're totally, you know, not, I'll into that. I let them know this is one of the issues that's coming up. So
yeah,
I stay in touch with a lot of the districts that way, including like 5 water districts in Julian that I'll be visiting. So
awesome. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your questions. Thanks for your time.
Anything else? No. Let's see, do we have any board member comments or any items for subsequent meetings?
I guess for me, it's what we heard yesterday, and you know, kind of what are the next steps, and how do we agenda the actions necessary to get us moving on the whole project. And I guess you guys are gonna work that, but just kind of the timing and where that's gonna land, just kind of putting the.
Yeah.
So I think the idea was that we will bring the conversation and the notes from last night to the next facilities meeting.
Okay.
And from that facilities meeting, probably bring a recommendation for action to the follow-up board meeting. So probably at the March.
15th.
Gotcha.
Next facilities meeting is the 15th, isn't it?
Yes.
Correct. It's on the 15th.
Got it.
All right.
It's here before you know it.
Yeah, that'd be next week.
Anything else?
You know, in listening to Teresa's presentation and the volume of activity that has gone on, which is so awesome. It kind of dovetails into the facilities committee priorities. And I guess my question would be do you have enough space to do what you're currently doing and what you envision us doing? I mean, there are a lot of classrooms and stuff, but we're talking about maybe leasing out part of that building. It's a big building, but if we're having so many events going on, which I'm thrilled about, we need to make sure that we are giving her all of the space that she needs to do what she's got to do. That, to my mind, should help set our priorities for what we're going to do with that property and that building in particular.
Back to the load conversation we had last night, right, in terms of the 2 buildings, where's the load occurring, where's it gonna be breaking?
Exactly. Yeah, like I said last night, to me, that building is to be the heart of what we're doing now. I mean, it's really gonna be short of what we're gonna be granting on the outside. What we're gonna do on the inside is gonna happen in that building.
Yeah. Bourbon, you have something?
To that, I was just going to, for your consideration in the future to talk about, we're always talking about transportation. I'm looking at just accessing the different areas on the property. It might be something to consider, like a golf cart for transportation until we get the parking lot squared away to go from one area to the other. in case of you having maybe seniors that might have issues and, you know, special needs or whatever. It might be something to consider for a future addition to the,
Makes total sense. I was.
I mean, we'd have to look at, the liability of whatever that transport might potentially be. I think getting the parking lot fixed would solve a lot of the
of
challenges.
course, of course.
But that's definitely something we can add to that list.
Yeah.
Given
Yeah.
us some good handicap spaces
Mhm.
placed geographically, logistically, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In addition to that, we could ask the governor to get the bullet train to go through. Sorry.
Question. Question. In supporting the wellness center as far as the needs as they grow, because I know in our case, with our group growing, we didn't have enough chairs.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's just a logistical thing, that's a
Yeah.
small
Don't
thing.
worry, we've already ordered those.
Other thing that I think is disappeared from there, and I'm not sure why, is there was a water cooler there to
Oh.
provide water. And I think that's important to have that, or a water
We have a
fountain.
grid, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Well, so we had moved it out of that, it's a long story. We'll offline, we'll
Yeah.
connect back there.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't wanna spiral into nowhere with that, but yeah, communicate with Teresa.
yeah, always come to me with things. I will say the Parkinson Support Group makes such a good use out of that space. When they come in there because of those 2 rooms, we do use the rooms actually in that, what was the church building, a lot. Because the classrooms can only go up to a certain capacity. So, and the North County Parkinson Support Group, they use 1 room for the whole meeting, and then they split up between the caregivers
Yeah,
and the people with
breakout
Parkinson's. And it works out so nice, and there's still a lot of people in both of those breakout sessions, but when we do have larger groups, we do, use it. What's a little bit crippling in that building is, 1, the sanctuary part has no heat, but also the bathrooms, makes it really, really hard to have 2 things going on there at the same time. So sometimes we do say no to things, because we don't have 2 usable multi-purpose spaces of that size, so.
Yeah.
The 2 unrelated things. There are water fountains that I've seen, like in the past 4 or 5 years, that actually fill with water bottles, not just like drink it. So that I think is a fair, and I've seen that in a lot of medical facilities, because the whole not touching anything thing. So you just kind of put your water bottle underneath and whoosh, it works. So, that was just a side topic. So my actual topic was, what has helped the pantry immeasurably, in the past, it's not even been a year, I don't think, that they actually redirected the bus. So the bus stops in front of the pantry now, which has been, I mean, we've gotten a lot of good feedback that personally I've heard from people. So I don't know where the bus stop is in relationship to you guys, but just tossing that out there.
There is no bus stop.
Well, then that's a short story there. You never know. Mission
working on it.
needs yourself, just saying.
We're having a whole series of conversations about transportation.
It's been ongoing.
Okay, I figured.
Okay, so we just have a couple items here on the calendar that are coming up. They're just the committee calendar meeting schedule that's on there. So that's definitely a good opportunity to come out to some of the committee meetings. Love to hear a lot of the input. And our next regular board meeting will be Wednesday, March 8th. Right here at 6 o'clock, and that's it. We'll go ahead and adjourn.
Good.
I'm gonna have. What are the next board meetings? Okay.